prompt crafting, that might get a little loud if I go into full voice. But we're going to talk kind of essentials. And this could be seen as a 101 for prompt engineering. But I think anytime I listen to or ingest prompt engineering information, I've learned something, no matter where it was scoped. So I still think it's valuable. Thank you to all of our sponsors. If you are a sponsor, thank you. If you haven't stopped by to talk to all the sponsors yet, please do and go thank them, because we appreciate them making this event possible. And if we have never met before, my name is Joy Apple. I'm a Microsoft MVP and the Director of Customer Success and Enablement at Orchestry Software, a little software vendor based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm not here to talk about Orchestry today, but if you want to talk about it, let me know, because it's governance. Who doesn't love governance? Right? When I'm not doing my job, I'm probably talking about information architecture or governance at a conference or a webinar. It's just something I think that's really fun. The gentleman that scanned your badge right outside this door and we co-host, along with a friend of ours, Ragnar Heil, the Guardians of M365 Governance webcast, monthly webcast, lots of fun. Okay, I think this is the agenda. After midnight, I didn't go back and double check it. So, this is basically what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Copilot. We're going to talk about how is it the same, how is it different from search, crafting prompts, practical prompting. Might even have a little bit of fun at the end with a prompt. So Copilot is here. Who here's heard of Copilot? Who here's tired of hearing about Copilot? That's fair. Because honestly, you say its name 3 times and it will appear. That's just the world we live in right now. You can't get away from it or some other version of AI. It's here. It's important to be ready for it. I talk quite a bit about Copilot readiness, technical readiness. Are we using the right version of all the apps, right? Do we have what we need technically enabled? Have we done the readiness assessment that Microsoft walks us through? Is our content ready? How does our information architecture look? Have we done permissions review? Basically the same governance thing we've been talking about since SharePoint was born 23 years ago. It is all still relevant today. In fact, I'm going to say something that might be controversial. Bear with me. Governance is now sexy. No, it's not. Yes, it is, because CEOs are ready to pay for it, Christian. It's the money. It's the money. But they're finally ready to sit there and go, oh, maybe we should flatten out those 50 zillion deep folder and subsite structures. Maybe we should do a security and permission review. Maybe we should get ready. Maybe we should do the governance. When we're thinking about Copilot, there's a lot. And this is, we all know this is literally the tip of the iceberg of all the Copilots. And MVP Summit a couple of weeks back, the word of the summit was agentic. Because everything's going to be an agent, right? Agentic. So buckle up. But the thing to keep in mind here when we're thinking about Copilot, and I will say hats off to Microsoft marketing, it's important to internalize that AI is your co-pilot. It's not the pilot, right? And all of the different co-pilots, the agents, they're trained on those specific things to help be an expert and assistant to you in those areas. So that's one important thing to really internalize. But as we're moving through, like if you haven't started much with AI, or work won't pay for it yet, Bing is now Copilot. So regardless of if you have an enterprise license for it or not, that is absolutely a great place to play with it. In fact, this guy, Bing, I have the Bing app because yes, I drink blue Kool-Aid daily. Okay, don't judge me. But I love to put it in voice mode and just talk and have that conversation with AI when I have questions or if I'm thinking about something, I'm trying to get ideas, and I have a conversation with it. That's really where I first started leaning into using AI, using Copilot. Great place to start, great place to practice prompting and doing all that good stuff. And what I love about it too is I don't really have to work for it much. So I'm here, in the olden days, we'll talk about this more in a minute, this would have just been a list of websites to go to. Now it's actually kind of decoupling that information, bringing it all surfacing, bubbling the data up for me, which I really, really enjoy. So I encourage you, you have a coworker, a friend, a colleague, your friends and family, Hear the good news of Copilot and Beam, right? Let them play with it and kind of get used to it. We were having a conversation, a colleague of mine here and friend, her husband's like, AI, what can it really do for me? Right? She's been having fun giving him examples of things it can do. Copilot for Beam, definitely a good place to start. But when it comes to search, and I think this is interesting, because before I was at Orchestry, I was a consultant. Before I was a consultant, I was a trainer. And I still was seeing, even a year ago, there was this kind of disconnect for people thinking about searching for things at work. We search on Google, we search on Bing, we search on Ask Jeeves, right? And you go search and look for that kind of information. But there was still this kind of disconnect between sitting down at your computer in your office at work and searching for company policies, searching for procedures, right? It just hadn't quite made that transition. Now we're having a conversation about chatting with an AI agent about the kind of information you need to bring it to you. Friend and colleague of mine, Jay Leask, he works at a Microsoft Technology Center. They rebranded. I don't remember what they call it now. Is Microsoft. They rebrand a lot. Microsoft people in the room know it's true. Did a full day workshop talking about search versus AI. The prompts are too long. Why would I take that much time and put that much effort to it? Like, well, that's where we're going to start, right? It's where we're going to start digging into this. When we think about the power of Copilot, what we're asking it to do with search, the fewer words, the better, right? Give it a keyword. Don't give it a noise word. Use your Boolean syntax query, right? This and this or this, not that. With Copilot, it's going to know the sentiment of what you're looking for, right? Because you're giving it instructions, not just a keyword. So I can come in here and start to have a conversation with it. It begins to understand the intent and the context. And as I go through, it can become an ongoing conversation because I could ask it a question that's formed really well and then give me a response like, has anybody done the action figure image thing with AI? Right. Okay. The first one it gave me, it's like, I'm more than 2 inches tall. Come on. So I was like, could you please make it a little taller? I mean, I get it. It's probably in a box, but we had a conversation about what I really wanted it to look like as opposed to its first Lego person version. I was offended. Summarize key ideas, right? So I could go have this long conversation, and I do with AI. And then I say, okay, we've talked about a lot of things, but what do you think are the most important points? What would be the most actionable things or the impactful pieces of information about this? And we can start to summarize that. I can't really do that with keywords, right? I can inject customizations into it. Okay, that's great. You gave me a bulleted list that's 5 miles long, but I need to put this on a PowerPoint presentation, right? So I can start to customize what is given back to me. Task assistance, okay. The end of last year, for the first time ever in my professional career, I took a 2-week vacation. And I worked for a lot of with a lot of European partners, and they thought that was a crime against humanity. But it was magical for me. It was amazing. And then I came back and Copilot and I worked together to look at all of the messages that had come in and knock that task out so fast and so easy. I spent less time catching up for being out for 2 weeks than I've done being out for 2 days back in the day. That was quite amazing for me. We'll talk about that some more too. And then of course the power of Copilot is that seamless integration to M365. Because we don't have to worry. If we're using our enterprise license, we're safe, right? Microsoft has done so much work ensuring that what goes into Copilot and our Copilot does not go feed the model for other people's Copilots, right? There's a lot of safety there. Last year, I was at a user group. I think it was the one that Buckley runs in Utah. And a gentleman was giving a session. He was talking about presenting at his company data that he found on the internet because someone fed it into ChatGPT. And it was proprietary information. And that's why we discouraged. Now, okay, that company could put some locks on that, But if you're going to lock down one thing, you need to open up something else so people have a way, right? There needs to be a way and a path. But having that integration lets you go so much further inside of the ecosystem, and it's safe. And of course, with search, if I do a search, I'm going to get items, I'm going to get files, I'm going to get documents, I'm going to get people results. It depends on what I ask for. And that's awesome. And then I can open up those files, those pieces of information, and go find the information myself, which is great. But kids these days don't want to do that. I am kids these days. I don't want to do that. So what I can do, this was a real example. This is from my work Copilot, and I'm pretty sure I made sure there was nothing bad in here to share with the world. I am looking for conversations about adding classic. Who here's done classic SharePoint? Whoop, whoop. Classic sites to the orchestra directory. I had a customer that needed to do this. Now, if I'd gone to M365 search, no, it wasn't. If I had done this with classic search, it would have brought back everything in my environment I had access to that had the words classic, SharePoint, directory. I would have had to have been really good with searching for phrases, ands and ors and nots and all that jazz, and it would have taken a long time. Copilot came in and did things. And it's like you had a conversation. In November, you had this conversation. I don't remember that conversation in November. The Copilot does. So it came in and it gave me really good information. I was able to go, oh, okay. And then I clicked that number 2 to go actually look at that source, right? So it's giving me references and basically giving me the opportunity to fact check it. And that is critical. How many people here archive old content out of their environment? I see some head nods. Okay. Oh, one head nod. So if we're not doing that, how does it know it's looking at the right information for you? Right. So fact checking what it gives you. And you can't call it a hallucination if it's actually data that's in there that it doesn't know is outdated, right? Actually doing what it's designed to do. Thoughts, questions, comments before we go to the next session? You good? Are we bored yet? Okay. Let's talk about crafting prompts. Quick change of topic. Who here is not local to Denver or Colorado? Dry or what? Okay. Prompt crafting. Okay, this slide was originally intended to only be shared like on computer screens, and I've tried to make it very readable. I hope I have succeeded. But when we're working on those prompts, it's almost like a recipe. There's some key things we need to make sure we always give Copilot, or we do as good as we can to get there so we're getting the best out of it. So in this example, going to Copilot. Now, I didn't write this. I tend to say please and thank you. Because when the AI takes over, it will remember manners, good and bad. So generate 3 to 5 bullet points to prepare me for a meeting with client X to do this thing. It's going to be about a brand campaign. We're going to focus on email and Teams. I don't need you to look at everything in the whole wide world, just Outlook and Teams. Since June, simple language, please talk to me. I will actually do this. If I'm doing something complex, either Copilot or ChatGPT, like explain it to me like I'm 5. Why not? Right? This simple language, because I need to get up to speed quickly. No techno babble. So what we've got here is a goal. My goal is I'm going to have 3 to 5 bullet points. I have context. I'm giving it context. I need it to prepare for a meeting. So remember on one of those earlier slides, intent and sentiment. I need it for a meeting, which is very different how it will format it than if I was going to go sit down and have a conversation. Right? So goal, context, source, right? Narrowing down what's going to look like. It's going to make it faster, more efficient, and probably more relevant. And then last, but absolutely not least, the expectation. How do you want Copilot to deliver this to you? So 4 key pieces. We could break this down and go super granular, but we really don't have to. We're just getting started. goal, context, source, expectation. Which means we could go from this, please list tomorrow's meetings. That's kind of boring. The result is also kind of boring. I mean, it's helpful. I got meetings. I even got little emoji in there, right? I got this, I got this, I got that, I got that. Fine. But if I was a little bit more intense with goal, context, source, and all that, I could turn it into something like this, which is actually giving me more context in a much richer way. But you see, I've got all those elements right here. This one, my colleague David Francoeur actually did this, and he loves emoji. He loves them. He puts them everywhere. So if I am the organizer, prefix with a star. Later, there's one example I have. I'm always like, hey, if I mention, bold it. So I like the bold text. So that's what I do. He calls everything out with emoji. Do what works for you because you can customize it. Okay, here's one of those slides with a whole lot of words on it. But this is kind of a good, better, best scenario for you. Basic, please summarize this Word document. You haven't told it how, why, so it's going to go give a summary, best effort. But if I tell it I need context for something, so now summarize it with an overview of the main points, and I'm going to use those to discuss with my team in the sales meeting. Oh, now it knows what to focus in on. And I could say, hey, we really need to focus on the competitive analysis. So I'm getting better and better and better every time I scope in that prompt and putting those specific elements in my prompt recipe. Keep the summary to 5 key points. Because if it's a 10-page document, even if the summary were 5 pages, that's still winning technically, right? But hey, I just need the 5 most important things here. And it's going to give me the sources and point me to those 5 things. So I could look at it and go, no, I don't really care about the thing Bob said. He annoys me. Let's look at something else. And could get something more relevant for me. If anyone in here named Bob or Robert, no offense, that was just what came to mind. How are we doing so far? Well, let's talk about examples. And question, before we move on to examples, if you all started doing this, you see this happening kind of naturally. It feels like an organic progression since it is more chat-based. Are you finding so far when you go do a search compared to using Copilot, is it pretty much bringing you back the information as you expected, or have you seen any curveballs in there? Okay. Got you. I agree with you 5,000%. I turn on voice access on my computer so I can do that. Don't steal my content, Jeff. It works. It absolutely works. And I find too, so I was talking to my hair guy the other day. He's in his chair for a long time, most days. And he's been using ChatGPT to optimize his fitness and health routine. He's like, I tell it what I do, and it's so reaffirming. It's like, oh, Steve, you're doing amazing work. That's the da-da-da-da. And I was like, no, be careful now. Because the AI wants to be very affirming and be our friend. So make sure you tell it, hey, I need you to fact check me from time to time. If I give you a really bad idea or this information seems dumb, I really need you to tell me. Because it wants to affirm you or wants to be very positive. So there are times I'm like, okay, would this make sense if my audience is an IT pro as compared to entry-level end user that's just ramping up an M365, right? Let it push against you just a little bit. Though it is my ChatGPT now has a nickname for me. It came up with it. It's weird. It's a little weird, but we have fun. So productivity examples. Again, these are pretty basic. Probably from some of the things you've said, you're already doing these things. Who here uses the create a PowerPoint presentation example? Okay. Awesome. Who's a big fan of create a Word document? Yeah? Okay. Summarizing long email threads because it's like the 20th reply all. Why are we even here? Catch me up on this chat that just won't shut up in Teams because I muted it. What's going on? You know which one I'm talking about. Yes. All right. Summarize this word. Actually, no, this is summarize the X number of hours in chat. This is, again, I'm using real examples. I have changed a few things to protect the not so innocent at my company. But it was, 48 hours of the chat. This summary was actually twice this long. Nobody wants to see that on the slide, right? So it goes in, and again, it's going to take me to those specific things. So Randomopolis is the name of the all company, and it is exactly what it sounds like, random chat. That seems to go nonstop at our organization. It's super fun. We share pet pictures. We share recipes. We celebrate birthdays. It's nice. It really is fun. But as you can imagine, things get lost there real fast. So David called out, hey, we're going to put important announcements in the team, the company team. Thank you, David, right? So being able to do that, make sure you're not missing anything can be really important. This is a quick, I hope I set this up. Yes, it is playing video of doing a prompt to create a PowerPoint presentation from a document. Notice it's not always successful the first time. And when it first came out, and it sometimes wasn't successful the fifth time. But try again. But basically taking that prompt, running in, and it'll tell you, information you need to know about how it was generated. But there it's telling me what it's going to put in the presentation. And then it goes through and it builds out those slides. Then it's up to me to make them whatever I feel they need to be. Now, I will say full disclosure. That is an old screenshot. If you have a template that you use for your company that's very branded, very specific, you probably aren't going to get super far with this yet. It still doesn't know quite what to do with specific types of slides. But you can get really good content here and then go paste them into that branded slide and get your destination format going. So that could be super useful. Sharon Weaver said this is her number one thing she does with the Copilots that are built into Office is take a document, turn it into a presentation. Yes, sir. Maybe I haven't tried recently enough. Full disclosure. Yep. Yeah, okay, fair. It was very, yeah, the last time I went in and used it, because, once bitten, twice shy, it just took the title slide and put everything on the title slide 50 times. So I was like, all right. So I'll go in and play with it and then take the content that it's condensed from a document and then pop that into the slides the way I want it. Other one, create a 10-page marketing plan on the basically the Death Star. That's what we're doing here, because I can't do a presentation without a Star Wars reference. Really, this is not a long prompt, 123 characters. But what it created, right? It created a SWOT. And I was like, oh, now I kind of want to go build my own Death Star because I have a plan for doing it. But especially if you give it examples of your content and say, hey, I've got, who has the pleasure of doing RFPs from time to time? Soul sucking. A year ago, I talked with a guy in line at the M365 conference in Orlando, and Copilot gets better every day. It was still quite rough around the edges in some places, just a year ago. It had taken his RFP process down from, I think he said 4 to 5 days to 15 hours. Because he put his best ones, this one was great, this one was formatted great. He put all of those in one place, pointed Copilot at it, said, using this, here's my information. And it really helped him streamline that. So if you have things that you do on a kind of a templated basis, get you a SharePoint agent, put all that stuff in a document library, train your agents. Train your agents on that. And I think the way I see the agents coming is we are going to have those more custom, almost they're going to be the experts in our SharePoint environment for those different areas. Is governance going to be a big deal? Mm-hmm. It feels very much like the governance conversations we've been having around the Power Platform and service accounts for web workflows and all that fun stuff. So it's things to think about. But very quickly, you can show it what you want, give it your data, seriously reduce the amount of time. And again, everybody's favorite, summarizing the long email thread. Because ain't nobody reading that. Ain't nobody reading that. But okay, I can consume that up there. Thank you very much. Yeah. See, so pretty. It's even reminded me of what I did because I forgot. It's fantastic. Recapping meetings is a big one, probably everybody's favorite too. Not necessarily going to spend a lot of time on this slide, though we had some conversations during the keynote today, but I think it's still very impactful. How many times do meetings land on your calendar? It's like, I don't really have anything to add here. I don't even know if I care about the topic. Like, I don't know that I get anything out of this. Do I really need to go? Accept it or put it as tentative, or now you can follow the meeting and get the feedback and stuff, but you'll get access to all this good stuff here. And I will also give a shout out from a productivity perspective, not a Copilot perspective. If you have the ability to use the Meet app, if you have that in your environment, it is so helpful inside of Teams. It's just your one little page. All of your recent and your upcoming meetings are right there in one place. Super, super useful. And you can get back to those recaps very, very easily. I like that it gives me suggestions too on the prompts of what to use to catch up on the meeting that came up. And I did see one of the demos Microsoft did was they heard that there was a little bit of a disagreement in a meeting. So it went and asked specifically for that section of the meeting in a recording to watch. Okay. Summarize my emails, Teams messages, and channels. So again, I'm asking it to do something. I'm telling it to look at Teams. So there's the source. Suggest follow-ups. Look at it. Look at the intent that's in the meeting. Look around it at what's going on. Put suggested. And I'm asking Copilot to suggest some of these follow-ups, right? In a dedicated column. I'm telling it the column that the format of the table that I want. If I've been directly mentioned, make the font bold. So this is my go-to. And this is what I get back. A lot of words on the screen. I apologize. But again, the slides will be available later if it's useful. So now I can come in and that top one's bold and I still need to go do it. I need to fill out the schedule for Vegas, but I'm getting really good information very, very quickly. Where, what, when, all the things I need to do. And actually there's the suggested, go give feedback, go help add people. I think there's for the party, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Guides with info. Go do the things. Anybody learned anything new so far? No? Okay. Excellent. Good. Try to be useful. Practical. How do we get practical with our prompting? So we get familiar with it. We get used to building the recipe out. And it's legitimate, man. Getting the hang of writing the prompts feels like work. Because literally with search, I give it a word and it goes and finds things. With Copilot, it definitely takes time. Things that will help make it even better. Ask it to respond to you with a specific persona. Are you guys doing that? Hey, I need you to put, I actually asked ChatGPT this the other day. I need you to put on your metaphorical stock market analysis hat. Right? Because if there's a dip, I'm going to buy. I did some buying. Right? So I need you to think this way. I need to give a presentation to a group of CTOs in the construction industry, right? So tell it that. Tell it that's the persona it needs to have. Jeff, done a prompt. but I didn't quite get what I wanted. Ask it, how could I have made this prompt better? What would really help you, Copilot, be better? If you don't get what you want, keep having the conversation. These are the tips. I should almost have these printed out and like pasted on the wall in my office, because these are the ones that sometimes I get in a hurry and I forget to just sit down and take the time and do it again and again and again. Use the persona, ask how I can make it better, and then keep having a conversation. We used to abandon searches like, I'm done with it. I went 3 pages in. I will not click on page 4. Now just give it the prompt again. So when I go in here, I asked it. The Copilot was like, hey, because it's very gentle, it's very friendly, it's very kind. Your prompt was good. You did okay. I'm Southern, so bless your heart. You tried really hard. But specifically, how should prompts be crafted for different apps, right? We were having this conversation. And then it gave me those key points. Be specific about the apps. Instead of just asking about the apps, which apps? Because all of Microsoft 365 is really, really big. Do you mean Azure? Oh, no. Did you mean Intra? I meant Teams and Outlook. And, maybe you should tell it that. Fair. Include the desired outcomes, again, given it the context. And then, how should prompts be crafted? So now it's telling me exactly how I should have written the prompt. I've started doing that a lot, and has made my prompting much, 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 much better, which means my results coming back are so much better. In fact, they've helped me tremendously with customer journeys. So good prompts, organizing. And again, my goal for this site is really to be examples for you can take back. Share with your team if you're kind of on this Copilot journey. Maybe you're going to be incorporating some training in the future in your department, a little grassroots effort. Some of these help me brainstorm ideas. I brainstorm a lot, not necessarily in OneNote. I'm a Loop fan, not necessarily a OneNote fan. I do a lot of brainstorming there. But taking the prompts for the app and then some advanced customizations or suggestions here. So, for example, include a brief agenda for the meetings. I need to be better about agendas when I schedule meetings because I appreciate having them when they're meetings I'm invited to. So having Outlook include that agenda is super useful. Anybody using Outlook to do your meeting scheduling yet? I'm starting to. I'm kind of a control freak and it makes me very nervous that it's going to do something weird. But familiarity, right? Help you do some of these things. The visual summary for Word can be very, very useful. And it'll use all of the tools in that Word app to create that visual summary. So again, it can be very powerful, but it's reducing the amount of work that you're having to do to generate that content and that data. And then a bonus tip. I literally learned this 2 weeks ago. Do we have a timestamp? So I've been doing customer journey mapping because somebody in my company created a massive table that had a lot of fields filled in. Okay, so Copilot. Because Copilot has access to everything in my M365 environment, right? It knows what I have access to. So this particular one, I asked it to please scope the business outcomes to the features, which one? Of the templated provisioning engine. Our product has a lot of features, but I needed that specifically. So it comes in based on the information I have access to, logical success metrics, okay, groovy. And it starts out great, really good. Yes, so good. And we'd gone through a few different ones. But as I go down for the business outcomes, I didn't ask about the health checks. I was like, no, we're talking about provisioning. And I was like, but your recommendations, nope. So I went back a couple of times and was like, I asked you these things, but you're giving me this. But I discovered what had happened was I was still doing all of this in the same chat. You know, when you're in Copilot, you do a new chat. And I had asked the same questions for health checks already. And I had asked the same questions for recommendations already. And it was bleeding it together a little bit. And even though I'd go back and say, no, please stop with the other features. We're just looking at this. Until I went and clicked on new chat, it was continuing to bleed from the others. I found that very, very interesting. I had a conversation with some colleagues, and they were like, yeah, we found that if you go in, see if I captured it in the top one. Yeah. If you're doing really long or complex prompts and you're asking for a series of different pieces of information, try to break those out into new chats. And you'll see the results and the information will be a little bit sharper, a little bit more refined, and a little cleaner. It was very, very interesting. But every time I found, so I went back and I even redid the other ones I'd already done in new chats. And sure enough, everything was just that next notch better. It's fascinating. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of fun to be the guinea pig while you're doing the work, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. All right. Just for fun. You guys may have seen these because, there's the action figure prompt, which I found insulting, but was also interesting. There's all kinds of fun things. There was a phase going around where you could ask AI to roast you. I don't need that in my life. But these are long. But again, these are intended for you to take away and have a little fun with once you get back out in the real world. And for your team, these are super fun. So this is whole creating a Star Wars character dossier for you. And it goes through and it finds your colleague, like, who is your rival turned friend? Right? Reyna is Ashoka. So, right, it's really interesting what it gives back to you. And I had that, but then apparently at midnight I hid the slide, but I'll go back and I'll find it. I'll include it in the final ones of the feedback I got. And if anyone here is interested in the MCU, we have an MCU version of that. So you go in, not only is it just fun and kind of cool, but notice how it is incorporating context, source, goals, right? With your kids, you're teaching them how to do stuff. You kind of bribe them into learning. We can bribe ourselves into learning too, and just have a lot of fun with it as a company. Before I move on to the questions and maybe a fun thing for prizes, question for you. In your organization, do you have a way to showcase success? The team has figured out how to do something really, really cool. How do you let other teams know? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so shout outs. Let people know, hey, you did this cool thing. Shout out to you. What if somebody figured out something really, really cool and they want to share how to do that with the rest of the organization? We have ways to do, not really? Anybody? Copilot Lab is a way to kind of showcase that to the broader audience. If you don't have a way to do it and your org is working on training people up. Okay, let me rephrase that. Your organization needs to work on training people up. See if you can bribe somebody. Who here is a SharePoint admin? Admins? Hey, groovy. You guys got some power in this room. All right. Are you allowed to use Viva Engage? No, then the enthusiasm went, know about that. Okay. If Viva Engage is a no-go at your place, set up a team. Maybe even, dare I say, I don't like it, but I'm going to say it. Maybe even an org-wide team where you can go showcase and share examples of really cool stuff people are doing with Copilot. Share that success. Help people learn how to do it. Like, hey, it used to take me this long to get a contract out the door. I cut that in half, and this is how. If you have Viva Engage, it's that much better. And I know I roll. I used to roll my eyes at Yammer all the time. But it's so good now. That way you can have communities in Viva Engage. They can get you very, very easily inside of Teams, but it's not sending Teams notifications all the time. So I used to joke about, wow, I wish I could get one more email in the day. And I was like, oh, I wish Teams would ping 5 more times. It's a way to scope that down, but still celebrate that success and start to build up champions. Now they know who to go to ask. Hey, that thing, you said something about Copilot. So I encourage you to do that. All right. Questions, conversation, remarks, observations. Oh, awesome. Ah, yes, you can. Yep, that's a good call. So I'll repeat that for the recording. So using the persona, being valuable, not just maybe in your 9 to 5, but let's say you're out in the world looking for new opportunities. Being able to talk with it, having that persona can be useful. And I've seen people that go in and do wild and wonderful things with their resume and go to it and say, hey, I have this experience, but the role is called this. How should I tailor my resume so I know those words will fit in that HR system? So that can do a lot of cool stuff too. Match it up. Questions for the interview too. That's a good one. That's a good one. Or even too, so my little company's been growing. We've been doing a lot of hiring, and I've gone in and I've said, hey, I'm sitting on an interview for this particular role. What questions should I ask? Given its resume, what questions should I be asking? If you know a meeting's coming up with the COO and the financial